Hello, I'm Tracy Powell with the Midday News. In Hoskins, a 25-seater bus owned by a pilot from Gallawala was held up and set on fire in Hoskins, causing tension between villages. Kasia and Gallawala residents conducted roadblocks while youth remained vigilant for individuals from Gaviva village. Police swiftly arrested 3 suspects who confessed to being from Gaviva. An emergency meeting resulted in the deployment of police to disperse the roadblocks. The Nanakai District Law and Order Committee discussed measures to address lawlessness. The situation is currently under control but remains tense with ongoing police patrols. The stakeholder consultation workshop on the draft Biosecurity Bill 2023 continued on Wednesday at the National Agriculture Research Institute at Bubia, outside Leh City. The remaining 2 parts are being covered in the final day of the workshop today. Lead agency, the National Agriculture Quarantine and Inspection Authority, covered parts 1 to 7 in the opening workshop on Tuesday, July 11th, while parts 8 to 10, which includes internal security, biosecurity, during agricultural productions and biosecurity authority of Papua New Guinea, were discussed on Wednesday. Today, the final parts of the Biosecurity Bill under scrutiny are enforced, which is Part 11 and miscellaneous provisions, Part 12. The final part of the bill contains rules relating to restitutions, dispute resettlement with trading partners, and it also lists the existing legislation or provision to be repealed or saved.
To our stakeholders and the public, what is biosecurity? And biosecurity basically is a process of minimizing risks of introduction, establishment and spread of pests and diseases that is of biosecurity concern. Pests and diseases affecting animal and plants, and including those that will consequently affect human health, for instance like rabies. Those are animal diseases that affect humans. Bird flu, which are transmittable.
President of the Medical Society of PNG and Chairman of the Medical Symposium Organizing Committee, Professor Nakapi Teferuni, announced final details of the 27th Medical Symposium. The symposium will get underway in Port Moresby under the Team 2023 Symposium, Team Holistic Approach to Cancer. This year, the symposium focuses on the very important aspect of cancer treatment and its roadmap for our country. The National Symposium is the flagship event of the Medical Society of PNG and would have participation from over 10,000 health center professions from across the country, as well as guest speakers and subject experts from overseas. It will be conducted as a series of seminars, seasons consisting of panel discussions and presentation on the main theme of holistic approach to cancer as well as aligned subjects. The event will also provide a platform for interaction between various stakeholders and the government. The various sub-societies under the Medical Society will also hold meetings and annual proceedings during this period. In regional news, Queensland scientists have developed a special glue to safely stick parts of the Great Barrier Reef back together. The putty is designed to help broken pieces of corals recovered from damage caused by boats and cyclones.
The world's largest reef should look something like this, but storms, boat groundings and coral die-off see sections break off into rubble.
It's accelerating with climate change. We're getting more rubble patches growing over time because we're getting more coral die-off.
We want to stabilise those broken pieces of coral on the seabed so that the coral larvae and the marine life can return and naturally start to regrow that reef on that now stabilised and solid seabed.
That's where Professor Leonie Barner's team comes in. They've developed a glue-like substance that works underwater.
We need to be really, really careful about what we are introducing into the reef because we want to save the reef and not harm the reef.
The result is a sticky goo that can bind broken corals together.
It's biodegradable, it's sustainable, and it's potentially scalable. So all those things are really, really important for reef restoration.
One component that we are using is actually a plant extract. So it's coming from a natural resource.
For now, scientists are using syringes and giant glue guns to apply this sticky putty, but it's hoped that a fleet of underwater robots could be used to stick clumps of coral back together on a mass scale.
Having a very stable, solid seabed is really important for reef recovery.
Scientists from Harvard University have collected fragments believed to belong to a huge interstellar meteor, saying it could have come from an alien spacecraft. Harvey Loeb led an expedition to find the remains of a 500-kilometer interstellar fireball that crashed in the ocean near Manus Island in 2014. The teams set out on a research boat called Silver Star in late June. Using a magnetic shed, they excavated debris from the ocean floor where the meteor hit. Professor Loeb told the ABC that most of the materials was volcanic ash, black powder, and it wasn't until they used a fine mesh sieve to filter the volcanic ash that they found tiny metallic balls referred to as spirals. The spirals are like marbles, made possibly of iron, each a fraction of a millimeter in size. Professor Loeb said if they are proven to be from outside our solar system, it would have been the first time humans have collected and studied interstellar materials. 50 spirals weighing just 35 milligrams were sent back to the United States, with laboratories now working on analyzing the objects. Allen Resort is a popular tourist destination in Central Australia. Despite millions of dollars in upgrades, a lack of consistent water supply has left operators with no choice but to shut up shop at the height of the tourism season.
An outback dream left battling the elements. The newly upgraded Glen Helen Resort forced to close its campground indefinitely, with the motel accommodation and restaurant facilities to follow in September. Persistent water supply issues pouring money down the drain.
Maintaining a reliable water supply has proved to be prohibitively costly.
The G'day Group, who own national tourism company Discovery Parks, took ownership of the Outback Oasis in 2021 and have struggled to maintain a consistent water supply since.
Bore water has been trucked in from almost 20 kilometres away for months and at no small cost. Maintaining the water supply here at the campground would have cost the G'day Group more than $100,000 for July alone.
The NT government has provided ongoing access to the nearby bore, but say they are in negotiations to progress provisions for a more secure water supply for the resort, and that the G'day Group is conducting consultations and seeking the appropriate environmental and sacred site clearances. But the Central Land Council, who represent traditional owners in the area, say it hasn't received an application for a sacred site clearance. Around 400 bookings have been cancelled at the site for the coming months, yet another blow to a tourism sector that has suffered this year.
And I'm hopeful that not too distant future that Glen Helen will rise and be open again to welcome visitors to that majestic part of the West Mix.
A desert paradise with an empty parking lot.
At its highest point, the Republic of the Marshall Islands stands at 2 meters above sea level. As people of a low-lying atoll nation, the Marshallese face an existential threat from climate change impacts, specifically sea level rise. According to the IPCC Specialist Report on Oceans and cyclone fear in a changing climate, sea level rise will continue beyond 211 in a low emission scenario. This can measure a 1 meter rise by 2023 and a 5.4 meter rise in a high emission scenario. For a country like Marshall Island, a 1 meter sea level rise will mean 40% of the building in its capital city, Majuro, would be permanently inundated and flooded, and entire islands will disappear, according to a study conducted by the Marshall Islands government and the World Bank in 2021. The New South Wales Blues avoided a serious sweep, sludging to a 24-10 win over the Queensland Maroons in front of over 75,000 fans at Ocker Stadium on Wednesday night. Brad Fittler's future as Blues coach may remain a question mark, but the number of Bond selection calls from the 51-year-old paid off in Game 3, highlighted by a double to debutant Bradman Best. It was Best quick hands through that proved even more important than these two tries, opening up space for speeder Josh Adoka to lit it up for the Blues in the best game of the series. Here are the highlights.
Here's a chip kick. Thanks, Billy. Fafita's got it back. It's a try to Queensland right in the nick of time.
He went round AJ Brimson, found the ball inside to Best. He took the tackle. One of your Maroons back there, and now just look here. Last play went to Cam Murray. Looked like the play was going to shut down. Great hands, Moses. Flick pass, Loa Matangi and Brian To'o.
From the sideline, this from a friendlier angle, and he's nailed it.
A great kick, a great chase at O'Carr. Gal, but he's been in the system in the pathways. Came through 16s, 18s, 20s. He was on the radar for game one.
Crichton makes it an 8-point game.
Isaiah Yeo is in front of Stephen Crichton, who was the last man to touch the ball. We have a decision.
That's a turnaround.
It's a huge turnaround. Jerry Evans will kick this ball out. One thing in the Blues' favour, there's been about a minute and a half, 2-minute break.
Great work, the Blues, but it's come on the back of their defence. The defence all night has been absolutely outstanding. Queensland's 2 tries have come from kicks.
In sports, Hanitua Limited and Trukai Industries Limited are teaming up to co-host the 2023 Trukai Fun Run on Lihir Island. The event aims to raise funds for the cervical cancer screening clinic at Kavieng General Hospital and support Team PNG in the 2023 Pacific Games. With hopes of attracting 20,000 participants, the run will take place on August 20, 2023. T-shirts can be purchased at various locations on the island, and the event has received support from local organizations. The collaboration marks Anitua's first time co-hosting the Trukai Fun Run, fostering a stronger partnership with Trukai Industries. Australia's Diamondbacks are looking forward towards the Netball World Cup. Diamonds head coach says this month's Netball World Cup in South Africa would be one of the most competitive ever.
Cohesion on court.
It's great to be able to just start chipping away as to where we want to start performing.
Days after the Super Netball Grand Final, the Diamond squad has its eyes on South Africa and a World Cup, the only trophy it doesn't currently hold, after a bruising loss to New Zealand in 2019.
The margins have been quite small. No World Cup is ever gifted to anybody.
Ash Brazel thought the chance to play in a World Cup had passed her by, but the 33-year-old, who just retired from Super Netball, will finish her career realising a childhood dream.
I know as a kid growing up, seeing like Liz Ellis playing in Jamaica or England, to now think that that little girl is now doing what I used to idolise.
The Diamonds will fly to South Africa as warm favourites, but as always, they're expected to face stiff opposition from the old foe in New Zealand and from much improved countries like Jamaica.
Eyes are all on Jamaica. They're a superstar lineup.
Behind the preparations, there's angst among super netballers. Soon, they will all be out of contract until a new collective player agreement is reached. And that can't happen until an 8th team enters the competition to replace the collapsed Collingwood Magpies.
It's taking a little bit longer than we would have loved.
The ABC understands Netball Victoria and the Sports Entertainment Group run by media mogul Craig Hutchison are leading the bidding war for the 8th licence.
It's quite a complex environment in which we're operating in, and taking on a team licence with a really short period of time is obviously really challenging.
Netball Australia remains confident the deal will be reached before the World Cup.
This ends the Midday News. Join us at 6 for more.
Back in the 80s, my mom was at school as much